Hi everyone. This week we're going to be doing a little bit of an introduction to peer reviews and also going over the rubric that I'm going to be grading your literacy narrative on. We're going to start with the rubric and then I'm going to show you a student example and just kind of go over what to look for when you're doing a peer editing and also just, kind of what I'm going to be looking for in your own literacy narratives. And then this week for your reflection, you're going to be completing a kind of mock peer editing for your assignment. So right here on the screen, let me scoot it up, is basically the rubric I'm going to be looking for and what I'm going to be looking for in your own literacy narratives. So of course, we're on a 4-point scale here. 4 points is considered like an A, 3 points a B, C 2 points, and so on and so on. So I will be looking at your grammar and spelling. And here's the thing, guys. I know it says no errors, but seriously, if you've got a couple of errors, it's not going to really affect your grade overall because it's all these elements: the grammar, spelling, clarity, organization, style, and follows the prompt. So even if you kind of get what would be a B level on your punctuation and spelling, if it's well organized, it's got good style, and it follows the prompt, you're going to get an A. So I don't want you to get so wrapped up on the grammar that you're not focusing on the content, because the content is both clarity, organization, and style, and following the prompt. That's going to be where you get the most points. So don't really stress over the grammar and spelling so much, because students get so wrapped up in that they kind of forget the meat of the paper, and that's the most important part. So clarity, organization, I'm just going to be looking for a logical progression of ideas with a clear structure, that you have good transitions, and that you don't have a lot of repetitive words and ideas. For your style, I want your paper to be honest. I want your language to be natural yet thought-provoking. I want the reader to feel a strong sense of interaction with the writer, in a sense that there is a person behind the words, that this isn't just a random writing here. I want the writing to be skillful and coherent, with very sentence structure and a consistent point of view. Remember, this is a narrative, so we're going to want to keep this in the first person point of view. And following the prompt, there's a link to the prompt in D2L if you need to go back and look at it, but as long as you're following the prompt, you're going to get those full 4 points. And so it just kind of progresses from there. So, if the logics, oops, sorry, it's not liking my recording software. So, if there's a couple of errors, maybe you've got a few repetitive words and ideas, you have a strong, consistent voice, but maybe every now and then you shift to like the second person point of view, and maybe you leave out an element of the prompt. That's what's going to get you a B level paper. A C level paper, a lot more errors. Maybe it does have clear organizations, but it just seems a little off. If your writing contains just a lot of vague and abstract language, that you're not really showing awareness of your audience. Like, remember, this is supposed to be an audience for your peers, and if you go like super duper formal, then maybe you might get dinged a little bit on your audience. And then if you're missing some of those elements of the prompt, that might lower it to a C level paper. And D is like, it's just totally out of whack. Like, there's a lot of, you have enough errors to the point where it's extremely distracting from the overall point of your story. If it's not organized well, like I told you, feel free to kind of play around with the chronology of your paper. But if I can't follow it, like if it skips around too much, then we might want to go back and rethink what you're doing there. And especially if it's really, really repetitive, like if you just keep repeating the same thing over and over and over again, then that just kind of distracts the reader from what you're trying to say. And again, if your sentences are super duper choppy, you switch from point of view, and it's not really following the prompt, then that's probably what's going to land you a D level paper. And I'm not going to edit this out. Here's my cat. He likes to make an appearance on the videos. This is Harry. All right, down you go. All right, so let's take a look at a student example paper. 1 second, let me pull that up. Oops, that's the wrong one. That's one that you're actually going to be using for your own example. So it has a title. First of all, that's one of the requirements of the prompt. So yay, my mother's typewriter. My typewriter, sorry. And actually it does have something to do with what the narrative is about. It kind of gives you an idea. It's like, oh, I have a feeling that there is going to be a typewriter involved in this somewhere. So that's a really, really good title. So we're just going to take a quick look, a skim through here, because I'm not going to read the whole thing, because one, on a video, that's going to be extremely boring. But just to kind of give you an idea of what might be a good paper, maybe it's not a good paper, we're going to discuss it, and kind of some of the things I might be looking for as you write your own paper. So click, clack. The rhythmic sounds of the weathered beige typewriter move through my optimistic fingers. As I continue typing, I can feel the story moving through me. This old typewriter has always helped me to produce some of my finest works of literature. Tales by me, a 10-year-old's most desired task. I have now fully escaped into the world I have created. As my main character climbs through a steep, unforgiving, treacherous hill, I too feel my heart beating in my throat. This has always been my experience with literature, the blood-pumping, heart-pounding, suspenseful, emotional appeal. Actually, a really good first paragraph, I think. Has a lot of really good detail. The rhythmic sounds of the weathered beige typewriter, like I can actually visualize that. A few little grammar things. There's some commas missing, like up here, my main character climbs through a steep, unforgiving, treacherous hill. I too feel my heart. So, just some commas mistakes right there, but overall, a very good, solid first paragraph. Let's go on to the next one. And as I slowly come down off the hill, I breathe out. I exhale. How long was I holding my breath? I can now focus, knowing everything's going to be okay. To me, this seems a little bit out of place. I feel like she put that in there because she was talking about a story that she was writing, but honestly, I think maybe taking that out and then going directly into the next paragraph might be just a little bit better of a transition. To me, it just seems a little bit out of place. So next paragraph. I have always had a great relationship with literacy. By the time I was 2 years old, I could recite my favorite book from memory. I could barely talk. As I continued to grow, so did my love of literature. My parents would read me a story every night before bed. The more I could comprehend the stories, the more I fell in love with them. More specifically, I fell in love with writing. So again, pretty good paragraph. A few little mistakes here. You have a run-on sentence right here. I could recite my favorite book from memory. I could barely talk. So you need some punctuation there. And a really easy way to fix a run-on sentence is just to add a semicolon. Super duper easy fix right there. And here you have a possessive when it's supposed to be a plural. And so just to fix this error right here, just take it and delete it. So as you're giving feedback in your peer review, you can, so if they have like a digital copy, like if it's in a Word document, you can easily go up here and click review, click new comment, and then, sorry, my lovely picture is over this right here, but you can say, make plural instead of possessive. So you can make little notes right there, or you can write directly on the paper just saying, hey, I noticed that there was a little mistake here. Here's a way to fix it. You don't have to be mean. One of the things I really encourage when it comes to peer reviews is make sure you're giving positive reviews. So, up here, going back, realizing, okay, you've got a really good start here. Maybe write something positive like, very good. Because when you're doing peer reviews, you don't want to just be focusing on the negative. And I think that that's one thing that students do is they go through there and they try to nitpick like, oh my goodness, let's find all the errors. And that's not really what we want to do here. Yes, we want to point out something that's like, oh, maybe take this sentence out, but you can say it in a nice way. You can say something like, I don't feel as though this sentence works here. It would flow better if it were deleted. Just be honest, but you don't have to say this was awful and it was so distracting from the text and I don't understand why you put it in there. Just be direct or be nice, but make sure that you're also putting in those nice comments like up here, like really nice opening paragraph, just to kind of help balance it, because you want it to be balanced. You want to be pointing out the good and the bad, because if you point out nothing but the bad, I mean, you know that feeling. It's kind of like whenever you would get a paperback when you were in middle school or high school and it would just be bleeding red, have red marks all over it and there was nothing good said about it. There's always something good about the papers. And so I feel like you need to be pointing both of them out and kind of giving them equal weight. So let's just take a look at the next paragraph. In the microscopic town of Jeanette, PA, there lived an elderly couple. In that one bedroom, one bathroom, compacted, self-built apartment over garage, a seed was planted. That seed was Edna, an electronic typewriter. With a population of what seemed to be 1,500 people, there was not much to do. But oh, you could write. The smell of that 70-year-old house always brings back my early memories of writing. Something about the scent of the creaking wooden floors always inspired me to do my best writing. I will forever be grateful for that old typewriter. It taught me how to enjoy writing and how to be creative in anything I produce. As my technique improved, I quickly learned that writing was more than simply typing words on a page. Though it was fun to be the creator of my own world, I also used it as a tool in my life. Writing quickly became a therapy mechanism for me. I could write down my frustrations and insecurities with a feeling of sudden relief. More specifically, I could write down my emotions. Frequently, this was very useful for me when I went through my first tragedy, my 7th grade year of middle school. I think 7th grade year is mostly a tragedy for most people. Again, this has some really good detail. I think it was maybe just a little bit repetitive. And so like if I was going to be doing, a peer review for this, I would maybe make a comment to say, hey, right here, comment. Nice detail. Because it is. That smell of that 70-year-old house bringing back the memories. Great. Let's see here. That was in electronics. This one, it needs to be a little bit more specific. So, sorry, I got to get used to using comments again. With a population of what seemed to be 1,500 people, that's a little wordy. So I would maybe make a comment here. This seems a little wordy. Maybe revise for clarity. Just to be a little bit more specific here. Again, I think this almost seems like a transition here. So it almost seems like a run-on paragraph. So my suggestion right here would be to maybe start a new paragraph here. So, just adding in, being honest, I don't think this is working here. So maybe start a new paragraph here. And again, it is a little bit repetitive. Oh, you could write. Memories of writing, my best writing. Every sentence kind of ends with the word write here, or a form of write. And that can kind of interrupt the flow of the paper. So, the writing is implied here. So I might make a comment saying, writing is implied, maybe delete. It's just a suggestion. And, those things like it would be okay if they did leave it in, but just for flow's sake, I would kind of leave it out. All right, so for brevity's sake with this particular video, because I'm pretty sure you don't want me to be going on for like half an hour going over every little paragraph nitpicking, I am going to post this in your assignment as well, because I think it is a really, really good example of a paper. Yes, it has some mistakes, and with the errors, it would probably be along a B-level paper here because it does have room for improvements. But just remember, when you turn in a paper, like if you get a B on that particular section, you have the chance to revise, because this is a process. You get points for turning in your rough draft. You get points for participating in the peer review, for the copy you turn in to me, and in your revision. So even if there are a few mistakes in this particular paper, you always have the chance to improve. And we're going to be doing some peer reviews in class, some practice before we actually do our own peer reviews. And so if you will complete the assignment for today, And then when we meet next, we will also be doing a peer review, a mock peer review with some essay examples of some things, papers that students have turned into me. So that way you have a really, really good idea of what I'm looking for. But again, this is a pretty good example, needs a little bit of work, a little bit of tweaking, but with that, she has a great potential for this to be an A paper. As always, let me know if you have any questions or concerns.